Hello, hello, Lisa Christensen here with Watercolor Cards, and I am so excited to share with you this beautiful card. It is one of my favorite stencils to use, and we actually get a stamp and we get to use stencils. So let's get started. Let's start with a blank piece of watercolor paper. This is cut by 4 by 5 1/4 A2 size. And I'm going to start off with a simple wash in the background. I'm using Duochrome Autumn Mystery. I don't know if you can kind of see it. I don't know if it's going to focus. It's not going to. Maybe. There we go. There we go. So that's what I'm using. Duochrome. I love Duochrome's um, uh, pigments from Daniel Smith. It just makes my heart happy. And I'm just going to put a little. I won't use all of that, but I'm going to put a little bit on my palette. This is my this is my iridescent palette. I just have all the colors, golds and other metallics that I just love, and this is my metallic palette. And anytime I need to use it, I just have it ready to go. And then I'm also going to use a little bit of crushed olive, which is what I used yesterday as a background wash. And let's start. I'm just gonna. Okay. So when I start, I like to, I'm going to move this over a little bit. I'm actually going to just spray my paper. It's a very wet into wet, loose wash. If you haven't used loose washes before in your watercolor cards, it's time to start because it is so much fun. So it's really wet. You can see it's very drippy, wet. Not that drippy, but it's wet enough. And I am just going to kind of go in with my greens that I used yesterday because it is almost Christmassy time and we use a lot of, I feel like I use a lot more greens at Christmas. And I'm just gonna paint some greens on here. It's wet into wet, so there's no right or wrong way to do it. And then I'm gonna add my autumn red, autumn mystery. And I'm going to do a whole bunch on the top, and then I'm just going to keep going down and go a little bit less to the bottom. And if you notice on the card panel, I did a little bit of greens here and here, but you can tell the difference. Like it changes. Once it dries, it gets a bit more red, and it's such a pretty color. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for to try duochrome colors. It's a great pigment to try. Okay. And I'm going to add even a little bit more. I know it's going to dry a little bit lighter, and that's quite all right. I just want it all. And I'm going back and forth. And I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to go back in with my green. And the thing about it is it doesn't really matter how much. I mean, this is just a wash. So I can do more, I can do less. It's really not gonna matter a whole lot because when it dries, you'll barely see it. It'll be there, but it just won't be there like. And I'm just going one side. I'm brushing one side. There we go. I like that. It's definitely not a flat wash, but it's a beautiful wash. I think that's gonna look beautiful for my fall floral arrangement. Okay. Now we can let that dry. However, I did make one already. I did it a little bit differently. I added some pink or some of the autumn mystery here and here, and then I just kind of left the middle kind of alone. So the next step, so I would, if I were to make like, I don't know, a set is usually like 6 or 8. So if I were to make a set of them, I would have 8 panels ready to paint, or I would paint 2 watercolor sheets just as a wash. And then I know that 2 9 by 12-ish watercolor sheets will get me four panels. So you can do that too. But we're done with the paint, so I'm going to move the paint away. Do not want my water to spill. All right, now I'm on to stamping. Woohoo! And I'm going to zoom out a bit so you guys can see a little bit more. So this is my Misty, And it's going to look skewed a little bit. Hopefully not too bad. There. That's about square. Uh, but this is a medium-sized Misty. I am using the Autumn Array stamp and stencil combo. It's from Tailored Expressions. It is one of my favorites. I use this all the time. So let's get started. So the stamp is on here. I peel it off, and I put it on the clear side of my Misty, and I already have it ready to go. So all I have to do is pop in I like to use magnets to hold my paper, just in case I have to do it again. And I'm gonna just position it. Perfect. I love this Misty because you can really be fussy about where you want the stamp to be. That looks about right. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take Sweet Basil. This is a neutral green. You could, if you don't have ink, you could totally ink up this using some some undersea green would look really pretty, or sap green if you don't have undersea green. Really just a neutral, green would work. All right, so I stamped that. I always like to press down firmly for about 10 seconds with watercolor paper, especially when there's pigment on it, because it just takes a little bit of time to sink into the paper. That's going to look a little bit funny because we got to add the stencil. I'm going to ink this up one more time. It's very, very normal to ink up your stamps twice when it comes to watercolor paper because of the tooth or the texture that the watercolor paper has. And that's quite all right. All right, there we go. That green looks perfect. Now I can set my Misty aside. And if you have not used blender brushes, this is a great time to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now that we got the stamp figured out and we got the placement, now we can go in. So the stamp combo has four different colors. So this yellow is a stencil, this red is a stencil, this brown is a stencil, and then there's another bit for the circles, like right here is another stencil. I tried to use purple with the yellow. Anyways, I knew I was going to make brown, but I didn't expect it to be like brown. So that was my fault. But that's okay. Moving on. That was my demo, right? This time I won't make the same mistake. But what I love about this is these stencils have like these little engravings right here, so I can match it up to just where it needs to be. And it is totally normal for the stamp and the piece of paper to not be cattywampus, just to say the least. And I did spray this with Pixie spray. Pixie spray is for stencils. It's like the low tack spray that you would use, but instead it's made specifically for stencils, which makes it really nice. Okay, now this one I'm going to do honey. You could any warm yellow. So if you had watercolor, I'm going to show you how I use watercolor with stencils too, but that's later on in December. This is just a fun little, hey, if you already have the stuff, you might as well use it, right? Sort of demo. But hopefully you guys will want to use some of the background washes that I showed. Okay, and now I think that's going to look quite lovely. I'm going to add a little bit more of that yellow there. Okay, and I'm going to lift that up, and I got a beautiful sunflower to start with. Now I'm going to go in with my, I usually do roses, but I'm going to do these little flowers first, because they're also going to be yellow. They're going to be like an orangey-ish yellow. And for that color, I'm using pineapple, so a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to clean off my brush on my towel, and then like every other day it seems like I wash these towels. So I have like 6 or 7 towels that used to be in my kitchen and now are very much part of my craft room. And I'm okay with that. I like to use towels because paper towels seem to always like pill and it just doesn't work for me. But I like using cloth towels. Probably something about the environment as well, but my share. All right. And what I really like is that the metallics, you can still see the metallics from these inks, so it's not like you're giving up the shiny part of the metallics that you used on your wash for your paper. All right, so there's my yellow. I'm done with my yellow. Set that aside. Now I can take my, it's already looking really fun. All right. Usually by the third stencil, you can get an idea of what it's really going to look like. And I'll just place this right here. And you can see how fast these go. I mean, you could make 20 of these probably in an afternoon if you really had to, you know. It'd be great for, like things, I have to make 3 of these. They're all 3 fall, like, inspired for the fall. One's for the Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not actually hosting Thanksgiving this year, which is awesome. We're going to a cousin's. So I got to give her a card. And then I have my grandma, who I wish I would spend Thanksgiving with. So she's getting a card. And then a dear cousin of mine that's going through some chemotherapy, and she needs a card. So that's why I'm making these cards for them, because they are so beautiful. Anyway, so with the red, you kind of see, like, it's just, it comes together so fast. These stencils make life so much easier. And they're still watercolor because you did technically put watercolor. And if anyone asks you, these cards are totally watercolor because this ink is also water soluble. I'm just not adding water to the ink to make it watercolor. So there you go. And I'm a firm believer in it doesn't matter how it's made, just as long as you like it and you're showing love and care to those that you give watercolors to. But anyway, so here's my brown. This is toffee. I'm just going to add some brown to this part. And this is really going to just set it off. It's going to add, and I usually have to like really get the brown in there good. I oftentimes will use pan pastels instead. All right, and for the reveal, dun, 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 looking awesome. I'm just loving that. Look at that. Isn't that so much fun? And now, because I'm doing 2 Thanksgiving, well, one thing, I'm blah. I am not hosting Thanksgiving, so this one's gonna go. This one will be done for my cousin, but I have to cut this edge off. This edge works, but not this one. So I gotta get me some of my scissors and get this edge all cleaned up. I didn't notice it when I set it out. These are called simple strips, sentiment strips. Anyways, it's a stamp, and then you die cut them, and they just work perfectly for these cards. So grateful for you. I think that's perfect, because let me tell you, if you don't have to host Thanksgiving and you've had to host Thanksgiving before, there is freedom in not hosting Thanksgiving. So I am making my fair share of food, but I am not hosting it, so life is good. Probably because I do a lot of good things. Hosting parties is not my forte. We usually like have issues every time I host. For example, my microwave and my oven both died on Thanksgiving Day about 4 or 5 years ago, because I was apparently not doing what I should have been doing. I don't know, but so, you know, like some people have the gift of hosting. I don't think I do, but that's okay. It's still beautiful. So what I was doing, I used these little adhesive strips. They're really awesome. They're right here, and they're just little strips They're foam adhesive strips, and they are perfect for little things like this to just pop up the card. Then when I am ready to actually put the card on, this is half a sheet of 8.5 by 11. It's cardstock that I bought from my printer, and the printer will cut. I'll buy 2 reams of cardstock. One ream goes vertical, and the other ream will be cut horizontal. So then all I have to do is fold this, usually with a bone folder, but my finger also does the trick just fine. And then I will glue it right here with my tape runner. Here's my tape runner. And I usually go about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times down. I do add a lot of glue because I don't want it to fall off of the card base. And I wanted to say. And then there's a nice little white mat to go with it. And I don't know if it's my fine art background or what, but I love white matting. I'm not a fan of brown or black matting. I love white mats. And I totally blame that on my fine arts background. But there we go. There's my card, and I made it in 15 minutes. Almost. Like, drying time would have been a little bit longer, but this is dry now. And then I could rock and roll with that one as well. So anyways, that is a simple card that you can make pretty easily. It's still watercolor. It's not in your face watercolor, but I'll zoom in for you so you can kind of see just how beautiful they really are. So anyways, I hope this helps you decide if getting this stencil is for you. If you the link to the stencils are in the description, and if you do have this set, or you've always wanted to use a set but you haven't ever really felt the need to, I say give it a try. It's totally worth it. You can also buy the die to go with it, but I don't think you need the die. I think it's quite lovely on its own. And anyways, happy painting. Tomorrow's prompt is all about stencils, and I'm excited for that. There's I can't even remember. I remember what I was going to do, but I don't remember the prompt. Isn't that terrible? But I hope to be with you. It'll probably be later in the afternoon or evening. It might even be 9 o'clock at night, because I am going to spend all day with my kids' like at school with my kids for their Thanksgiving like party thing that they do. They do some fun little Thanksgiving trivia and games, and I don't want to miss it. So anyways, so tomorrow might be a late demo, but I'm still going to plan on doing it. And it'll be again on stencils, but a different take on stencils. I'm excited. So I hope you keep crafting and keep playing and using your time to be creative, and we'll talk to you soon.